Why does a sustainable relationship with water matter, and what do large corporations have to do with it? Despite the ongoing global water scarcity crisis, corporations have continued to exploit the planet and its water bodies at the cost of marginalized communities. These communities cannot afford to recover from the impacts of such practices. A sustainable relationship with water ensures that all measures conserve as much water as possible and contribute to the goal of universal access to potable water. However, large corporations like Monsanto and Nestle have worked to counteract this approach to sustainability for years with their products that have only amplified the level of water pollution and mandated more significant sacrifices from the communities impacted.
In order to better understand Monsanto's practices, let's take a look at HABs. What exactly are HABs? HABs, short for harmful algal blooms, form from excess nutrients in the water. These nutrients are excess nitrates or chemicals including PCBs or glyphosate. One of the primary sources of these nutrients is agricultural runoff. HABs are harmful to oceanic ecosystems, leaching all essential nutrients and creating oxygen dead zones that kill all life within them. They are toxic to marine life such as fish, shellfish, marine mammals, and birds. Additionally, they cause human illnesses which can be debilitating or even fatal. During the summer of 2018, Monsanto, the producer of herbicide Roundup, allocated over $800 million to settle lawsuits on funneling PCBs into the water supply. Also known as polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs were banned in the United States 4 decades ago. Fishman reveals the astonishing amount of water geared towards agriculture when he states, agriculture is even less water smart. Poor farming practices squander nation-sized quantities of water. Worldwide, farmers use twice as much water as all other uses combined. 67% of world water use goes to agriculture. Thus, it is unsurprising that farmers' water usage significantly impacts an area's overall water supply, whether harmful or beneficial. In the case of Monsanto, it is clear the agricultural sector is responsible of water systems' massive pollution through nitrate and glyphosate, which result in HABs and contain pesticides and weed killers.
In addition to Monsanto, Nestle is also employing unsustainable practices by exploiting marginalized populations in the global south. Nestle is a prime example of what happens when big corporations' power in foreign regions are left unchecked. Bottled water is the phenomenon of our lifetimes. The 3 largest brands of bottled water, Nestle Pure Life, Coke's Dasani, and Pepsi's Aquafina, which together make up 20% of all bottled water, are nothing but municipal tap water, repurified and packaged up for our convenience, according to Fishman. Water scarcity is a problem that persists across the world, rooted in factors such as the lack of infrastructure to support water treatment plants, pollution, and more. Many private corporations, such as Nestle, have seen this as a stepping point for expanding their business to treat and sell underdeveloped nations' water back to them at a higher price. In 2020, the global bottled water market was valued at $230.4 billion. American and European companies, Nestle being at the top of the list, are consuming the majority of these profits, thus revealing the disparity between the global north and global south. To better understand Nestle's unethical and unsustainable practices, let's take a look at the case of Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the most water-stressed countries in the world, with what has been classified as an acute water crisis. Nestle bought its Pure Life water to Lahore, Pakistan in 1998. The company claims this was done in an effort to provide safe, quality water to the people of Pakistan. The organization is one of the 3 biggest companies that have a stake in Pakistan's bottled water market. In 2018, a report was submitted to the country's Supreme Court revealing the extent to which the company had taken advantage of the country's resources. According to the Business and Human Rights Resource Center, their operations have extracted around 4.4 billion liters of water between 2013 and 2017 at no cost whatsoever. 1.9 billion liters of this water went to waste for a total of 43% loss. loss. Nestle explained that this loss was due in part to reverse osmosis water treatment, but could not account for the remaining 28% of water that was lost in its operations. The extraction of vast amounts of water by bottled water companies like Nestle is putting increased pressure on Pakistan's already limited resources. 97% of Pakistan's fresh water is used by the agricultural sector. Furthermore, 80% of the country's population faces severe water scarcity, and it's estimated that there will be a food shortage of around 70 million tons of food that will occur by 2025. Thus, the country cannot afford to waste any more resources. Instead, the people are focused on conserving as much as possible. Nestle's practices counteract these efforts, prioritizing profits over lives. In addition to the mass extraction of water, during the court proceedings, there was another report submitted revealing that mineral water companies like Nestle were not meeting health and safety standards. One Chief Justice recalled a visit of his to a Nestle operations site in Karachi, a town in Pakistan. The company was working on this land rent-free. The justice stated that a sample of the company's Pure Life water was found to be unfit for human consumption. Despite Nestle having free access to the country's water supply, they were unable to properly treat the water. However, individuals still gravitated towards bottled water over tap. To further understand this, we can take a look at Fishman's quote where he says, "Bottled water subtly corrodes our confidence in tap water, creating the illusion that bottled water is somehow safer or better or healthier. In fact, tap water is much more tightly regulated and monitored than bottled water." Environmental lawyer Ahmad Rafe Alam argues that Nestle marketed their product in a way that deterred people from tap water. 20 years ago, you could go anywhere in Lahore and get a clean glass of tap water for free, he says. Now everyone drinks bottled water. Despite the country's suffering agricultural industry and the adverse effects of the water on individuals, Nestle's Pure Life market has deterred the government from maintaining or revamping their water treatment systems. This is a result of their marketing strategy, which promotes Nestle Pure Life as the cleaner and safer alternative to tap water. Overall, Nestle's target economy for their Pure Life water seems to be economies that lack the infrastructure to have proper water treatment plants to provide potable water for their citizens. Once companies like Nestle enter their economy, these governments are even less inclined to fund the development of their water treatment plants, as they can rely on bottled water industry, one that is already in high demand. As Fishman says, bottled water undermines our financial and civic commitment to reliable public water system. Why accept an increase in the water bill? Why vote yes on a water system bond issue when you can always get your water at the supermarket?
It's not all bad news though, because when corporations and environment coexist, the possibilities are endless. Fishman sets a well-rounded precedent in bringing to light examples of this union between economic development and positive environmental feedback. These examples take form in the way of different water management methods, followed by a critical interest and a cultural shift in how we view water. At the center of this water movement, we begin to see two major influences of an effective means of resource management, a paradigm that allows businesses to profit from the ability to go green and contribute to environmental health, followed by implementing means of ecological restoration. Suppose we can effectively engage in this cultural shift in water. In that case, developing other environmental conscious changes may be easier to ratify and offer exponential economic increases. Australia is a crucial example of this adaptive strategy towards water conservation. Australians are employing mangroves to help filter rainwater runoff for its use in the industrial sector, a prime example of environmental productivity that positively affects the local economy and environment. The French are already implementing mangroves in their coastal territories, providing a solution for improving local ecosystems. Too often, we hear about the problem causing water and other climate-related disasters, or a blanket statement of an answer. However, we are rarely presented with a feasible solution to protect, improve, and adapt these critical environmental aspects and the means to do it. So let us look at a potential solution developed by a group of Fordham's global environment students. In conjunction with presenting a solution, We also help to showcase that miracles of science do not need to be developed to succeed in restoring our planet, but instead, thinking with an open and critical mind and showcasing the feasibility of exponential gains from such a development. By following a framework built around incentivizing businesses and stimulating the economy, we can begin to reverse some aspects of our planet's water crisis. A study on the comparison of private incentive mechanisms for improving sustainability of Filipino tuna fisheries, published by the World Development, Volume 83, explored Filipino tuna fisheries that are already trying to implement this business model with some success. Overall, the private incentivized mechanisms stimulate fishers to improve their fishing practices, yet these mechanisms still face challenges in terms of improving both environmental and development outcomes. To succeed in all aspects, we would like to present the idea of implementing mangroves in some of America's most vulnerable water points, following Australia's examples shown by fishing, to help mitigate HABs and oceanic dead zones. How? By the formation of government subsidiaries and the outsourcing of third-party work of fisheries and companies which heavily rely on the oceanic process to help in implementing the planting and maintaining of mangrove trees in critical and vulnerable waterways. Some areas these trees help in environmentally are the filtering of polluted water, an additional resource of timber and fuel, protection of coastal infrastructure, assisting in regulating the climate, promoting the development of critically endangered or relied upon organisms, and the reduction of HABs, which in turn mitigates our dead zone disaster. Ways in which it helps the fisheries and private corporations. Government subsidiaries set aside funds for businesses to engage in an economically favorable process. A higher population of critical species used in the global supply chain creates an exponential profit potential. It creates more jobs that stimulate and introduces additional money into the economy without raising inflation, and forms a sustainable relationship that will provide exponential financial growth and revenue for all companies involved. Ways in which it helps the government. Money lost from subsidiaries is ultimately reintroduced back into the economy by the economic growth of this new resource. It creates more jobs in the mangrove trees' maintenance and subsequent biological growth. This will put more people to work, stimulating the economy and spreading awareness about the conservation and potential profits of going green, providing a new resource and labor sector. These trees attract tourism to local cities. The government essentially creates and manages a new sustainable resource, and most importantly, no loss of revenue from environmental collapse and no environmental collapse. The challenges we face in implementing this idea are few and easily manageable, with the most prominent being testing and analyzing how these trees would do in such an environment and making sure no harm occurs from the introduction of mangroves to the native environment. However, evidence shows that the French have already successfully implemented this system in their French colonies. The next step would be lobbying companies to support and back this idea to pressure congressmen/women to create awareness around the foundation needed to implement this idea that will undoubtedly benefit all involved.